Hello, this is a special DrupalCon edition of Drupal Brief, so we're only going to cover the highlights of this session here. The DrupalCon Atlanta 2025 playlist on YouTube has the full-length video of this session. Go check it out. This podcast is brought to you by the team at Drupal Forge. Drupal Forge is an open-source community marketplace for Drupal sites. You can spin up any version of Drupal in 3 seconds flat, including Drupal CMS and Experience Builder. There's no registration required. All sites come with a browser-based version of VS Code, preloaded with Composer and Drush. Plus, you can use these sites free for 30 days. If you have not seen Drupal Forge, you're missing out. You'll be able to do twice as much in half the time. Okay, that's it. Let's go.
All right. Welcome to another deep dive.
Yeah.
You share stuff with us and we go deep.
We do.
We go deep. We try to pull out the interesting nuggets for you guys. So today...
They give us the material and we sift through it.
Yeah. So today we're going to be talking about this YouTube video.
Okay.
It's actually a presentation. It's titled, Leveraging Drupal SaaS to Power 400 Websites as Unique as Independent Bookstores.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. So this presentation, it features Matt Sepko, who is I believe he's like a developer and technical consultant who's worked with the ABA for 17 years, and Pablo Lopez, who's a back-end developer at Lullabot. And they worked on this Indie Commerce 2.0 platform.
Okay.
And our mission, I guess you could say,
Our deep dive,
is to understand how exactly the ABA is supporting all these independent bookstores with e-commerce websites. The number
It is 400. That's a big number.
Yeah, over 400. And how are they able to make each of these websites unique while still providing,
It's a lot to manage.
It's a lot to manage. Yeah.
So when we think about it, we have to remember just how much the American Booksellers Association, the ABA, does for these bookstores.
Right.
They don't actually own or control them. It's really important to keep in mind that these are independent businesses making their own decisions.
That was a really, really key takeaway.
Yeah.
He really wanted to emphasize that.
Yeah, they provide support, like advocacy.
Lobbying and stuff.
Yeah. Education, resources, marketing.
But all the stuff that you would think...
that a single bookstore on their own might have a hard time accomplishing.
Right.
And that's where Indie Commerce comes in.
Yes.
It's their program to provide this e-commerce muscle.
Yes, and this is important. Over 500 live stores. We're not just talking about a concept here. This is
real.
Yeah, this is real. All 50 states, and they all have their own unique website and domain name.
That's impressive.
It is impressive, yeah.
And on top of that, every single one has access to book metadata for millions of books, plus dedicated support.
Right.
To help them out, along the way.
Yeah, it's not like a set it and forget it. They're actively helping them.
They're partners.
Yeah. Now, the platform, it had kind of a humble beginning, right?
It was started in 1999.
Yeah, 99, with booksense.com.
Ah, yes.
I mean, that was custom built with Java.
It's like the Stone Age of e-commerce.
It really is. It's funny. He mentioned this, and I thought this was very interesting.
Okay.
He said that at the time, they did not even have, Analytics.
Yeah. Wow.
They did not have any analytics for their website.
No.
Could you imagine, running a business?
Not knowing where your customers are coming from, what they're buying.
How do you make decisions?
You're blind.
You're blind.
Yeah.
So then they made the decision to switch to Drupal.
Which is interesting because that's an open source content management system.
Right. 2008.
Yeah.
They launched on Drupal 5.
So they've been through a few versions.
Oh, yeah. They went to Drupal 6.
And he said they do it in one night, which he recommends no one ever does.
Yeah. Can't even imagine.
Just the amount of testing.
Oh, my God. Yeah. Talk about, high stakes.
Yeah.
So then it went to Drupal 7.
That was a multi-year thing.
Yes. And Lullabot helped them out with that one.
Okay.
But then they said, you know what? Going from Drupal 7 to the newer version.
It's such a big jump.
We're gonna reimagine the whole thing.
Wow.
So Indie Commerce 2.0 built on Drupal 10.
Interesting. And that's where we see all these unique bookstore websites that he shows as examples.
Yes. So, for example, 44th and 3rd bookseller in Atlanta.
Yeah.
They have these curated book lists, custom graphics, and that shows their personality.
Okay.
Then you have Little Shop of Stories, which is a children's bookstore, so totally different.
Yeah, different audience.
Yeah. McLean and Eakin booksellers, they were selling custom apparel, signed copies,
Wow.
digital audiobooks, so they're using a lot of the advanced features.
So they're really leveraging the capabilities of Drupal.
Yes, yes. So let's get into the Powering 400 websites part.
Okay.
So Pablo Lopez from Lullabot steps in to explain this, and I love this. He's like, look, I'm not going to bore you guys with the code,
That's nice.
but he did give us a good overview, and it is very interesting. So one code base for all the sites.
That's kind of like a multi-site, right?
Yeah, like a multi-site. But he said, with a big distinction, each bookstore is on its own Pantheon instance.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and they are on Drupal 10.4 and Drupal Commerce 2.x. They are planning to upgrade to Drupal 11 and Commerce 3.x.
Future-proofing.
Yes.
That makes sense.
So they have a central engine, but then each store gets to design its own theme.
So they retain their individual brand identity.
Yes, and they can choose resources that fit their needs and their traffic, all within that Pantheon instance.
That's smart. It's very scalable.
Yes. Now, the people that are managing these websites are the bookstore owners, and these are not technical people.
No, I mean, I can imagine that can be a little bit daunting.
Yeah. So that was a challenge that Lullabot and the ABA had to work around.
Right.
So they actually did a UX and content strategy study,
Wow.
and they completely reorganized the Drupal admin area.
That's a big undertaking.
It is, yeah. So they added custom breadcrumbs to make navigation easier. They created a permissions layer so people only see what's relevant to their role.
I bet that cuts down on the confusion.
A lot. A lot.
Maybe some errors, too.
Probably. And then they created a custom dashboard.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And this is for the bookstore owner. And when they log in, they can see all their key metrics, recent orders, and links to the most used areas of the site.
So it's tailored, makes it easy.
Yes, yes. And there's even a built-in message center for communication between the stores and the indie commerce support team.
Makes sense?
And they have dashboard tours and reminders to guide new store owners through the initial configuration.
So they don't feel lost.
Right. Now, this is interesting. You have hundreds of sites from a single code base.
Yeah. How do you manage the configurations?
Right. So they have a system. They use configuration pages
Okay.
and the config ignore module.
Okay.
The config ignore module is, it basically tells the system, hey, don't touch these settings when you update the platform.
So it protects the bookstore's individual settings.
Yes. And then they have these configuration pages organized into site settings, e-commerce options, fulfillment preferences, and marketing and analytics tools.
So it's structured, easier to manage.
Yeah. Now, the design system, now this is interesting. This is not like a one-size-fits-all.
Okay.
It's a common foundation with room for branding. So they can configure their base colors, fonts, header layouts through what they call a design content type.
So it's kind of like a theme, but with more granular control.
Yes, yes. And they can even save multiple design configurations.
That's handy.
Yeah, for different seasons or promotions.
Yeah.
And then they have a tiered feature system.
Okay.
Depending on your subscription level, you can enable or disable features.
So smaller stores don't have to pay for features they don't need.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, stock management is a huge part of this.
Yeah. Books, they have to keep track of inventory?
Yeah. They handle the inventory that the bookstore has, but it also integrates with third-party warehouses.
That's a good way to expand their product range.
Yeah. So they have caching mechanisms to balance accurate stock levels and website performance.
Because you don't want slow websites.
No. Plus, POS integration and third-party shipment trackers.
So they've really thought about streamlining the whole process.
Yes. And then tax management. I don't know if you've ever dealt with this, but it is a nightmare.
It's complex.
Especially in the U.S. with different states, different laws.
Yeah.
And these bookstores might have multiple locations.
Yeah.
The platform has to handle all that.
So they're essentially acting as a tax consultant as well.
In a way.
Wow.
Now, they use DDEV for local development.
Okay.
They have a custom composer package called DrainPipe.
Drain pipe.
Yeah, I don't know why they called it that.
Okay.
But for managing dependencies.
Right.
And running tests.
Makes sense.
And they have pre-configured site templates to speed up new site creation.
So they're not starting from scratch every time.
No. They use Task for testing and GitLab CI for parallel deployments to Pantheon.
So it's a very modern development process.
Yes. And then there's the hub.
This is like the brain of the operation.
It is. It provides a reference to all the sites, even the old Drupal 7 ones that are still being migrated.
Oh, okay.
It provides details on the database status, inventory management.
So it's like a central command center.
Yeah. And it has a single sign-on system for ABA admins and support teams so they can access any bookstore site without needing separate logins.
That's super efficient.
Very efficient. And it also collects data from the sites to give the ABA insights into feature usage and platform behavior.
So they can make informed decisions about the future.
Yes. So now let's say a new bookstore wants to join.
Okay, how does that work?
It's very simple. They go to the hub, they enter their basic information, choose a subscription level, and it kicks off an automated process in Pantheon.
Wow.
Yeah. So it creates new website instance, database, configures API credentials.
So it's all automated.
Completely automated.
Okay.
And within 20 to 30 minutes, their site is live. And it's even preloaded with demo content like banners, slideshow templates, even marketing lists.
That's amazing.
It is amazing. And I thought this was a really good question that came up.
Okay.
Why wouldn't a bookstore just use Shopify?
Yeah, why go through all this?
Why go through all this trouble?
Yeah.
And the answer is book metadata.
Oh, that's right.
There are so many fields: author, publisher, ISBN, binding type, publication date.
Yeah.
And a single bookstore can have thousands, tens of thousands of books.
Yeah.
So Indie Commerce centralizes that. They pull in data directly from publishers and wholesalers.
That makes sense. And that would be a nightmare to do on your own.
Oh, yeah. And here's the clever part.
Okay.
On-demand loading of book data. A book only exists on a store's website when it's needed, like when someone searches for it, or the store features it on a list, or when they add their own inventory info.
So it keeps the sites from getting bogged down with millions of records.
Yes.
Yes.
That's smart.
And even though they have this centralized data, the stores can still customize it. They can add their own staff reviews, details, staff picks, sale prices.
So they're not just displaying information, they're curating it.
Yes. And they have flexible pricing tools, discount categories.
Which are common in the book world.
Yeah, they can create variations like signed copies or used copies, each with its own STU.
And they probably inherit all the core data from the main database.
Yes.
Pre-orders.
That's a big thing in the book industry.
Oh, yeah. Built-in support for managing pre-orders.
That's crucial.
Yeah. And it's not just books.
Right.
They also have a store merchandise feature for like stationery and gifts.
Okay.
And non-shippable items like memberships, event tickets.
So they've really thought of everything.
Yeah.
Every possible revenue stream.
Yeah. And the services feature uses web forms as product.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. So they can do things like book club subscriptions or birthday book program.
Clever use of web forms.
Yes. And donations, gift cards, physical and digital.
So it's a really comprehensive e-commerce solution.
Yes. Yes. Now, for shipping, they use the Commerce Shipping module.
Makes sense.
But the standout feature here is store pickup.
Okay.
And get this, 2/3 to 3/4 of orders are store pickup.
Wow, that's a lot.
It's a lot.
So people still like going to the physical store.
Yeah. And it's free for the customer, usually.
Right.
It also simplifies checkout because they don't have to enter shipping info.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And they also added curbside pickup and event pickup.
So they're really adapting to how people want to shop.
Yes. Payment options, credit cards through Authorize.net. They're working on Square integrations, PayPal, e-gift cards, support for physical gift card vendors.
So they're covering all the bases.
Yeah. The pay at store option is also interesting because it eliminates the need for billing information during checkout if you're doing store pickup.
So you just give them your contact info and pay when you pick up the book.
Yes, yes. Now, the product lists feature, this is how they showcase their products. They can create curated lists referencing items by SKU, title, or ISBN for books.
Okay.
And they can even pull book data from the central system for titles that aren't on their site yet.
So it makes it easy to feature new releases.
Yeah. These lists can be used on landing pages as carousels on the homepage or embedded in content.
So they're very flexible.
Yeah, and they can be dynamically updated. Think of like a staff picks section that changes all the time.
That's cool.
Yeah, and they have special curated lists provided by Indie Commerce and the ABA, like the Indie Next list and the Indie Bestsellers list.
So they're providing them with ready-made content.
Yes. The event calendar uses the recurring events module.
Okay.
So bookstores can easily manage their events, including recurring events like book clubs.
Makes sense.
They even have options for external RSVP links.
Streamlining the process.
Yeah. They have wish lists, standard wish lists, and a more complex gift registry feature, which is popular for schools.
So they've thought about different use cases.
Yes. Now, the migration from Drupal 7 to Drupal 10, this is a big one.
Yeah, it sounds like a massive undertaking.
It is. They're using a replica of the live database for the migration process.
So the live sites aren't affected.
Right. And it's a two-phase approach. First, content migration. The bookstore owner gets to review and approve it.
Okay.
And then they migrate the commerce data, like customer order history.
So it's a very controlled process.
Yes, very controlled. And indie commerce has also contributed back to the Drupal community.
That's great.
Yeah. The platform has been a testing ground for new Drupal features.
Oh, that's interesting.
Some of the work they did has been incorporated into Drupal core.
So they're giving back?
Yes. And the feedback from the bookstores has been very positive.
That's good to hear.
Yeah. They love the improved admin UX, and it's helping them create better content and drive revenue.
So it's win-win.
Yes. Yes. So to wrap up,
Our deep dive,
what stands out is the scale of this platform.
Yeah.
The tailored approach to bookstores, the tech infrastructure built on Drupal, and their commitment to improvement and giving back.
It's really impressive.
It is. Now, for you, the listener, this deep dive, it gives you a look into how a large-scale SaaS platform serves a very specific niche.
And how technology can be a powerful tool for independent businesses.
So think about this. What other industries with strong independent players could benefit from a similar platform? Think about the power of community and collaboration.
Take a look at the websites we mentioned, 44hand3rdbookseller.com, littleshopoffstories.com, and mcleananddeacon.com.
See how these stores are using the platform.
You might get some ideas for your own work.
Yeah, think about platform development, community support, understanding the nuances of an industry.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Yeah, stick around for the next one.
See you then.
Okay, so this was the special DrupalCon edition of Drupal Brief. These were just the highlights. The DrupalCon Atlanta 2025 playlist on YouTube has the full-length video of this session. Go check it out. This podcast is brought to you by the team at Drupal Forge. It's an open-source community marketplace for Drupal sites. You can spin up any version of Drupal in 3 seconds flat, including Drupal CMS and Experience Builder. There's no registration required. All sites come with a browser-based version of VS Code preloaded with Composer and Drush. Plus, you can use these sites free for 30 days. Did you know that Drupal Forge's new Contrib pod replaces the deprecated Drupal pod? We're rolling it out. Keep an eye out for it. All right, that's it. If you enjoyed this podcast, please refer it to 2 other people. Bye for now.